Hey everyone, Mr. Cycler here. Quick video to explain the say, do, mean reflection, why it's used, and how we are going to use it. So to get us started, say, do, mean is a summary technique used to process information to help you understand what your notes are doing. Now, keep in mind your notes are for you. They're not for anyone else. Your notes are there so that you can go back to them, you can refer back to them and study from them and learn from them and interact with them. It is your way of learning information. So the say, do, mean reflection has three components. First, what do my notes say? So you'd respond to that by saying and echoing, today, my notes say, ... and then you'd fill in what they say. Then on the next question, what do your notes do? You would say, I can use my notes to. So you'd explain what you can use your notes to. And lastly, what do my notes mean in the context of the bigger picture? And you would respond with, my notes mean. So an example of this down below over here is I took some notes on a lesson for cylinders. Now, in this little lesson, after taking notes, I was asked to do a say, do, mean reflection. Now, I wrote, after taking this lesson on cylinders, my notes say the volume of a cylinder is highest with the middle cylinder. We use circumference to find the radius. So that is physically what the notes say. Then, what can I do with my notes? The notes break down the different volumes and show mathematically how to solve volume and derive radius. Where does that radius come from? So that's physically what I can do with my notes, what the purpose of them are. And lastly, what do my notes mean? I put the volume changes depending on the specific height and width. Volume are different with the same perimeter. So what's the significance? What is the ultimate learning behind the notes? What does it mean in the greater context? So say, do, mean. It's a fantastic summary technique to help you reflect back on the lesson to learn about it. But more importantly, though, that's what how you will use it. But what does this really mean? Why should we use this? So we have over here a little graph that has to do with the rate of forgetting with studying repetition. And what this graph is saying is that if we are able to learn something and you have some sort of practice or repetition within hearing it for the first time, in the same day that you will be able to memorize where this little dot is over here. Let's change that to red over here. This is, you'll remember about 55% of the information. So about half, as long as you practice it within the first 18 minutes. If you don't, it's going to drastically drop. Now, let's say you think, well, 55%, that's not so much. How can I improve? How do I get better at it? Well, within the second day, or within one day, if you get a second repetition of that information, such as by reflecting on your notes or by studying or doing homework or whatever that method is, you bring your knowledge up to about 70% remembrance of that topic. So that 70% is getting better, but you still don't really know that topic so well. You need to see that method a third time within 7 days, which will bring your memory up to about 80% understanding. And then a fourth one within 31 days brings it up to a little over 90. And then within 3 months, if you see it 5 times, you'd be able to memorize almost 100%, about 98% of that information, which is basically the magic tool for teaching you how to remember stuff always. As long as you get your first repetition, which is the practice in my class, and then within the next day, you guys review your notes, you do your homework, you use the vocab list that I put at the top of the sheets. That is the reason, and I'm trying to get you a second repetition within it. And there's going to be other reasons and ways I get you guys to see it again, such as quizzes to make you refresh the information to see it again within 7 days, and so on. So there's ultimately a lot of ways to get you guys to remember things, and my goal is to make you to not forget using these techniques. Because if we take a look at note-taking in general and how note-taking works, is after taking notes and you create the notes, you have to kind of arrange that information in a way that you can understand it. That's why we're going to be using color in this class to organize your notes. But then you need to actually think about those notes, process those notes, and you need to do that by underlining and highlighting and circling and questioning and deleting, classifying and organizing all these different things to your notes to process and understand them. which is basically your ability to study those notes, to take your notes and make them your own. And then after that, you're going to be asking more connection questions, which are making you think about details and your memories. I'm trying to connect this over here in the vocab by making you think about your memory of the experience, connect it to something you've already done, and as a class, we'll then talk about this and reflect about as a whole what we did so you can apply it eventually in the robotics and the coding aspects of this class. So really, taking notes is kind of like an art form. This is a little quick explanation of how you guys are going to be using your notes in order to succeed in this class. So that's the graph, that's say do mean, and that's about it.